or 6 months. That was our poll this morning. And I have actually, first time I've actually taken down the results. And out of
Recording in
the,
progress.
thank you, Paul. And out of the 34 votes that we got, I got 19 votes saying yes, they should shut down the scrap iron sector for 6 months, which means 15 said no. So it's pretty close. All right. Morning to you, Paul, once again.
Morning, Steve. Morning, Mr. Ferguson. How are you this morning?
Morning to you and your listeners.
Oh, you dress up so for this Zoom, boy.
Well,
So there's a lot of discussion about the industry. Of course, the government has made the decision to suspend the exportation for 6 months. Let's start. Well, you've already stated you're not in agreement with that. That's public now. What impact do you think that will have on your sector?
well, let me say good morning to you again and good morning to your listeners. I will take the opportunity to the 19 people who say to shut it down, to give them a good understanding about this industry again. Because some people have a misunderstanding of how this industry works. This industry is an industry as anybody else where a little wrong isn't taking place. And I will not stand here and say nothing all our members straight. As any other organization, there are people who like to take part in dishonesty. Most of our members, and I'm sure because I travel around Trinidad, and I could tell you is that 99% of our members follow what they're supposed to be following. Let me say this. This industry is an industry like, if you don't regularize it, like other countries, all part of the world, when they didn't do it, and they had us to speed and go and do it. This is an industry since 2011. I came in this industry 2011 when they shut it down. And at that time, I had met the government, who was the UNC government, was in place. I had met with them with my team because just before that, they had voted me in because I had a lot of experience in the industry, and they had voted me in to try to get back the industry open back up. We did work hard with the other government to open it back up speedily. It didn't last probably 2 weeks. When we talked to them and they started to understand it, they opened back up the industry. We would start with them with symposium. We had symposium with all the stakeholders, all the people that could make the industry work and work good. So we worked with them until up to 2014. And then they had put the proposal together, and it was to go to Parliament to regularize, to amend the act, because this is an old industry. This industry was since 1904, so it's an old industry. So we just had us to amend the act to make it an industry that anybody will be able to just come off the street and run in this industry. We had worked with the other government to do that. The UNC government come and lost in 2015, and when we meet the new government, we had told them, they say they want to make some change. They make the change, and it was only early this year when I called the minister. She told me that the proposal is by the Attorney General. When I see some months pass again in this year, I call her and I ask her, where is the situation with the amendment to go to the Parliament? She say the Attorney General sent it back to her to do some changes. Now, I want Trinidad and Tobago to understand. If the proposal done already, and it's done already, going to the Attorney General to make the changes, to do whatever, to come back to her, that will take 6 months to do for our industry.
Well, I don't know because there are a lot of things the Attorney General may be working on. Mr. Ferguson, why do you think there's been an uptick in the theft of copper in the last year or two? Because as you said, you've been working to restart this industry since 2011. But in the last 2 years in particular, we've seen the reports of the uptick in theft. Why is that happening?
That is where I'm coming to now. Because you see, some people are the understanding that we, Trinidad and Tobago, find itself in a situation, and I want to tell you, a lot of cars being stolen, you know, a lot of people going in people's house and invading the house, a lot of killing taking place in this country, you know. Now, the people that you all see going and pulling along this cable have nothing to do with our organization, you know. These are just people with opportunity. And because the government or the police or whoever in charge to make sure they secure these things ain't doing it in the proper way, we had to take the blame and shut down an industry that employed thousands of people because...
Okay, so let's take that as natural conclusion. You say it is not people from the industry doing these thefts, but only people, so they're selling it on the open market themselves, or are they selling it to persons who are in the industry or persons in the industry buying it from them? Do you have that information?
Well, boy, let me tell you something. When I start to make statement, you know what I did? We start to do some investigations, and you will shock to know. You as a senator, you will shock to know what taking place. You know, containers is going to the port without you're supposed to have a license to export copper. You know, they're sending containers to the port saying that is B or A and is not where it's supposed to be. On the port of Point Lisa, if I lie, people could check it. It went a container went with the information and the documents stating that is scrap iron or some other information in the documents have. You know, when they scan it, they see copper. You know what custom do? Send back all that copper. Send it back out without anybody facing any charges. I am trying to tell Trinidad and Tobago this because this industry not regularized, and because a person could just take the scanner, they could go to Port of Spain port now and just sending the scrap or sending copper and no scanning of the material. All these things cause problems.
Is it that you're saying that anybody? Is it that you're saying anybody can export copper now without a license?
Yes, because they're using a different documents and it is not copper. The documents not saying copper because you have to have a license. Let me tell you, when we do all the checks, and we know why we had us to do checks, is only 2 persons up to today licenses sent to copper out of Trinidad, and one other person we 100% sure that one other person is not going to send out no TSCT copper because they is one of the most strictest persons in this industry. So we sure about that person. So we know that something is taking place wrong. So we do a little investigations. Where how it is now is a person could come off the streets, a businessman could say that he want to send copper out of this country and he getting it out. So we all in Trinidad and Tobago need to check now. And I only talking, you could check with the Ministry of Trade and check and see how much people are licensed to send out copper. And
how do you think? Are you saying
it's a larger conspiracy of some sort?
It's not conspiracy, man. You know, Trinidad, we live here. Can you live here? All of we live here. You know how things is work in this country. Do not try to make me feel like it has all kind of. It is people doing things with documents to send out copper. People doing things to make because they want to eat a food, and they want to make more money. Because let me tell you something, no small man can do that, because a container of copper is plenty money. So no small man can't do that.
Let me ask you a question. The person who was found the Ministry of Works and Transport sealed in the compound and arrested and I think charged last week. Is he a part of the association or is he an independent operator?
Let me say this to you. When I was on your program the last time, I tell you all we have problem with foreigners, right? That person is one a foreigner that operating in Trinidad. We told you that when them come to Trinidad, they put our organization in a lot of problems because these people, right? When them leave from the other country and they come here and they don't care what is TSCT wire, they don't care what is pipe, water pipe, they don't care what is manhole cover, they're buying everything. We put that to the government already. When we want to get license, we get so much a problem. But them just come here just want to get license. We facing this problem in this industry, and that's why we asking for it to regularize.
So the gentleman is not a part of the association.
Let me explain to you. When we go around and
Mr. Ferguson, is the person who was arrested and charged a part of the association? A simple question.
You know, I'm going to answer you, but why is I answering you? I want Trinidad to
just answer yes or no. Just give me a yes or no for that one, please.
Eh?
Is that yes or no?
Only a week now. When we was making our rounds, we and we was telling people to stick in the law of the men. We read his time, but as it is now, he gets suspension. Only 1 week. 1 week.
So he was a part of the association.
Only 1 week, not all the time. Only 1 week. That yard only opened probably about 4 months. That scrap yard only opened probably about 4 months.
So he was a part of the association.
No, not before until just about a week. Only a week. That you don't understand that.
I know previously on this show you have indicated that you all have sent out messages to your sector basically not to be stealing copper, etc., because it's a threat to your industry.
Yeah.
Do you have any insight or intelligence into which yards are doing this sort of criminality, whether or not they belong to your organization or not?
Well, when we do our investigation, that is why I mentioned it now, and you all could check. Don't take my word for it. Check and see containers leaving, going to the port, and they're saying that is in it, and when it reach to the port and when they scan it in Point Lisas, they're seeing copper, and then they're leaving it to go back out. Don't take my information for it. Check, because we have information about it. Now, you know what is taking place? A lot of people rushing to Port of Spain now to get all these containers because they're not scanning it in Port of Spain. That is our information. How much more I could give? Because I have to watch myself how I speak about who is the people dealing with this. You know, I have to be careful. So all you have to understand that too. I can't come on this program and tell you, hey, Tom or Dick, this is the people who dealing with the copper. I telling you all, Trinidad and Tobago, don't take my word for it. Check it out.
But if it is that you have some level of intelligence about who is taking the copper, or if you have certain suspicions, as you're indicating here today, have you reported that to the authorities, to the police?
Let me say this again, and that's why yesterday I deal with all that. All of that I deal with yesterday. Hundreds of letters to talk with the commissioner. Once we meet him and he say he will meet with us more, and we are saying is that the reason why we're not taking the blame is because they're not doing the work. They don't want to do the work. They want to do the work like we could send email and tell them who is this and who is that. And then when we went there already and talked to them, and before we come out, people don't know we was inside of there already. We not taking no chance with them unless it has somebody who is real serious to take information. All you have to understand, we in a situation in Trinidad that is frightful, you know. It's frightful. I know how to hire more security to be around me all by my house. Waiting, this thing is serious. Anywhere I go, it's costing me money, and I must just walk in a station to get information. They must.
So Mr. Ferguson, you feel your life is under threat?
I had a friend and a businessman. He used to say, Ray Charles could see that. Richards could see that.
So that's yes, right? You think your life is
Yes.
under threat?
Yeah, because you see, when you're working hard to straighten out an industry like this, that people are accustomed doing all kind of madness, because years upon years we are asking the government to regularize this industry, to straighten it out.
Yeah.
And up to today, we still remain the same way. That is our fault. And
Have you
because
received threats to your life? Have you
no,
actually received
no,
threats?
no.
No,
No.
you indicated a while ago that there are 2 people with export licenses for copper. Are you one of them?
No. I never export copper in my life. I just had to sell it to the people who have license. Yeah, I just had to do that. I can't I don't export copper. I just concentrate on other materials.
So you said just now that the person who was arrested was only a member of your organization for a week. Is that correct?
Yes, about a week. Just a week.
What did you vet him? Did you scan to see that he's a legitimate operating within the law? Before you
Yeah, well, that's why I told you that we if you to be a member, we just work with you. If you don't even have your license, we have a team that's work to make sure you get a license. We doesn't say and do people like, hey, you don't have your license. We will make you a member right away. But what we does is that we show you how you could get a license and work with you to get a license in the court. That's what we just do. And then
but you made him a member, and he ended up with stolen material on his compound.
No, well, let me tell you something. Who make you feel that because you're a member, you ain't gonna take part in stolen things? Why you say because a man is a police, he will be in crime? Because a man is a custom officer, he ain't gonna be in crime? Because whoever you is, and because you're running a big business and you're a big businessman, you ain't gonna be involved in crime? That is why we will be getting kept so, because we think all the nice people with all the nice clothes and every other thing will be involved in crime. But crime is all over. Crime is all over. This is out of 100, you only catch one person.
How should the industry be regulated? What are the steps in terms of the regulation that you propose to the government? Give us some of the aspects of regulation that you want to see activated, please.
One of the things that we lobbying for, if you want to come as if you buy a van and you want to come in this industry, we must take some checks about you. We must find out certain things, and then you'll get a license from the government, which is going to be a collective license, a license where you could go around and collect material. But when you're doing so, when you're going around, you will have to have a book, a documents, a book, not a receipt alone, a book, to take all the necessary information from the person that you're buying the material from. You will need to take the address, you will need to take the phone number, you will need to take all the necessary things, what type of material you're purchasing from them. So now when you come to our yard with it, we now will take that same documents that a copy of the documents that you purchase that material, and we will have it with file with your ID card and your number of your license and all the necessary things. And when after all these things happen, we now as a scrapyard will have to take that same material that you bring to our yard and leave it for 7 days. So if anything happens, or the police or anybody want to check and come and check on it, they could come and say, listen to me, this one take this material from me, we're looking material right there, so it will be able to be retrieved from our yard and go back to the person, because the law says the scrapyard must cooperate with the police if something like this happen. Because let me tell you something, an old piece of pipe or an old piece of plate or an old galvanized, we can have no evidence that if somebody steal that and bring that to our yard, we can't do that. So all we will be doing, that is why we're taking all the necessary steps to make sure we take information on the video cameras, our cameras in our yard have to be working 24/7. So if anything take place, it will be on camera so that we could able to furnish the police or whoever in authority wanted, that we could able to furnish them with the information. As a lot of more things that we could do in reference to safeguard this industry. This industry could work. Look how much place this industry is, This is $1 billion industry worldwide. And if you watch other countries, they have problems too. But you know what they're doing? They're fixing it. They're fixing it. Look like Jamaica. Jamaica had problems too. And them had problems in 2012 to 2013. Them take 3 years. We taking 11 years and we still ain't finished yet. They take 3 years to fix it. And we taking 11 years and we can't fix it. And then everybody want to say some people in Trinidad because they might be they might not have a mind because they see people going and keep people gate. They might see all kind of things taking place. They don't have an understanding of how the industry works. And because this is a new industry where people now start to understand, people does not know. It might not be a scrap man take all out that man will cover. Sometimes people hungry. Sometimes it's not because we make an excuse for people because they're hungry. It's because of how Trinidad is full of crime. And everything now is thief and robbery and all kind of things. We had to face that in our industry because TSCT didn't listen to us and when we tell them, listen to me, all they will run into problem is all that copper that all you have around that ain't doing nothing now, If we did work as a team, as a partner together and remove that copper because we had people who wanted to invest and TSCT will again about $10 million for all this copper around Trinidad. And because of that, look how much money they lost now. Look at that. And we didn't say, we tell them, to partner with them. Partner, because we know we partner with them already to solve problems like this. And we did solve the problem. But now all the people stealing, people thieving, and hey, they take me cake. So you know what happened? Shut down the industry. But let me tell you something. You might have a brother, you might have a sister or family that is dependent on a dollar to feed, because a lot of poor people every day work on a daily basis to feed the family from this industry. And when you stop that and you vote to stop that, you know what happening? When you support shutting down our industry with thousands of people from all over Trinidad because they can't get no work, because you're not hiring them, because they had a police record. And if they come out of jail, we want to leave the people who come out of jail without work for months and feel like they're going to be normal. We pull them in and help them. And you want to shut down that. Shutting down that is destroying all these people who we work hard with to try to build a strong family home. Now you want to destroy that by just because you're not doing your work to regularize this industry and make sure that the police, look at people calling the police right through, and police are coming at all. People know how to hold people for thieving copper. We seen all of that. Why we don't ban vehicles? Look how much vehicles, must have about 500 vehicles then steal. Look at how much killing taking place. Why we don't ban the police and open a different organization? Because the police are doing the work. Look how much murders. And we're starting to ban that, but we're starting to ban an industry that's helping poor people. We have to understand that this, if y'all take it out of our head, we're going to face more crime. And then the government must understand that public assistance that they hardly could even meet when the month comes. They will want to pay more. They will have to put in more money to give public assistance more, because there's thousands of people working in this industry that can't get no work and we helping them, All this Trinidad need to know, and people don't just think because you see somebody running off the street. We have a serious crime problem in this country. We have a serious crime problem, and it's not because we scrapyard and scrapyard members or whatever it is. We facing a problem in this country. We need to fix it. And you can't fix it by why we don't shut down the whole country then? Shut down the whole country because we have a problem. It's not the scrap industry have a problem.
You mentioned, Mr. Ferguson, you mentioned that Jamaica had a similar problem and they solved it. Is it that the Jamaican model can work in Trinidad?
Well, yes, because we had the head of the Jamaican Association on our program last week, Wednesday, where he discussed. We had a synthesized program where we invite the public where they could understand how this industry works, and we could take the ideas and all kind of thing. We had that, and we had people from Jamaica. We had other people in the symposium. And what I'm saying is that I personally, when Jamaica had problems, I was speaking all in Jamaica concerning this problem that they're having, because I was one of the men who recommending strong things here in Trinidad. Let me tell you something. Yesterday I showed it. I show a magazine. This magazine is in Europe, one of the world top recycling magazine, where everybody in this industry real good just be in that. And let me tell you something. I doesn't like to use this word, but I the only black man that in the middle of that magazine in 2 pages, And you know why? Because when we go places like Singapore, you know what else do we? Just has we as leaders, because the amount of information we just have about this recycling business. This is not about iron alone, This is about oil, paper, this all kind of thing I have in this brains of minds. And when I talk, they don't listen to me. That's why, because they don't have nobody who understand this industry, and none of them government department, none. And when I talk, they don't listen. The reason why we had this problem, let me explain, Steve, let me explain something to you. I had told the government that we shut down the copper industry for about 3 months, and let me sit down and work it out. And then the market for the copper it had no market. Everybody would have stuck teeth in that copper, but they didn't listen. And then now I had to play guilty for that. Why I had to play guilty for something like that when I informed you in the early stages before this thing was going like this? And if you have something going wrong and you don't take no action and you leave it just so, we expect it to get better. It will get worse. If nothing has been done to stop all the steep steps that are taking place. Nothing. All the Trinidad and Tobago think, if you have a problem and you're doing nothing to solve the problem, how do you expect it to stop? And then want it to shut down the industry because you're doing nothing? And I must accept that from people. I cannot accept that. And I have to be champion for the poor. I have to be fighting for the poor. I will champion the poor because the majority of the poor people is this gain $1 in this industry. How I can leave
in
this?
terms of the government's recommendation for shutting it down for 6 months, is it that you are continuing to talk with the Ministry of Trade and Industry concerning that issue? Is it a fait accompli, or you believe that there is still communication lines that are open that you all can discuss this further to prevent such an eventuality happening?
No, I think as I make my plight, I think we will still make our attempt to work with the government. I think I don't think all is lost. I don't think all is lost because I don't think the Prime Minister had put a committee, a subcommittee in place to work with us to try to regularize this industry. And I think we will reach out to them again, and we will try to have meetings with them, as long as they decide to have meeting with us. And I will be able to show them again that I think this problem that we have could stop. I think we could work on it. There's some things to do. I am saying again, Steve Khan and Paul, if we do not do nothing for a problem, we expect something to happen if we're doing nothing. If you have a problem, doing nothing, you will get no result. How that's hard for people to understand. If your car have old tires and every minute you go to the tire again puncture, we expect when you go again you will get puncture because your tire ain't good.
Are you willing to take some calls, Mr. Ferguson? Are you willing to take some calls?
I understand. Let me say this thing. As one of the leaders, I will not back out from explaining because I know some people misunderstand how this industry is running. So I take in any amount of calls you have. I have time until later. I probably have time until 8 o'clock.
Yeah, but let's grab some calls. 222-8255, 612-8255. North Americans, you can weigh in. 866-525-10 99. All right, that's the numbers directly into our studio.
Yeah, so we're taking some of your calls at this point. Of course, we're speaking to Mr. Ferguson, the head of the Scrap Iron Association, Scrap Iron Dealers Association. And of course, he's very passionate about his industry. I will say that, Mr. Ferguson, you're quite passionate about it and
Because
quite knowledgeable.
I eat this industry and rice every day. I eat it in all different fashion. I eat this industry and beef. I eat this industry and goat. I eat all kind of things with this industry. So you can understand.
Mr. Ferguson, we have some calls coming through, so let's grab them. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
First, I want to say, Mr. Ferguson, I like your passion. Keep it up. And I have a question. You're telling me that our government cannot control what is going on, and their solution is to close down our industry. What is the National Security Minister doing? Steve, you always say there are too much cars on the road. Is it that we could close down the auto industry for 6 months to correct it?
I'm not saying there are too many cars. I'm saying that there's so many cars for the infrastructure that we have.
Well, is it that the solution would be to close that industry down for 6 months? How the suggestion for the scrap iron industry could be just to close our industry? Our government is not doing their work. They have to solve the problem. You can't run away and hide for 6 months. The problem will still be there. Solve the problem now. Let the trade minister start working. Let the minister of national security start working. Mr. Ferguson, keep it up.
Thank you, caller.
And let me say this, right? The Minister of National Security, majority of the people in his constituency is with his gain up for this industry.
All right, we have another call. Good morning.
Good morning to you,
Yes, good morning.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Right,
All behind them.
the recent $1 million buff in terms of a member found at least guilty of receiving stolen steel. My question to you as president of TT, my question to you as president of TTSIDA, do you have the authority to go into any of these scrapyards and check and see whether the material they have there are stolen or not? Thank you.
All
All right.
Allan.
What we just do, we don't get problem. We don't have the authority like the police, but what we could do, because there's a member, they just allow us to check when we go. We just go and check the yards, and then we don't have no problem. But I could tell you what we do already too. We had found that a yard was operating without license and thing, and we had go and get the police and come back and shut them down. We do that. I just do that as a leader. So I just do them thing. Once I find out you don't have no license, I just go and get the authority and come back and get. That's the thing that what I do as a leader, you know. Serious. And everybody in this industry know me. I just float all over Trinidad, you know, because I fearless, you know, as a leader. And I champion for the poor. And when you do this and like something like this come and happen, look like since I started this, I's a man, I's a person that try to do all the things that I do incorrect. And since I started this, you will imagine people want to attack you because they want to try to damage your character because of where you're championing. I understand that. And I understand leaders upon leaders before me always had to face people. When you see a champion in the right thing, it have people in their life want to continue doing the wrong thing, you know, and they don't want to stop. And when you're trying to do the right things and fighting for people, I will understand it that people wouldn't agree with me and say, shut it down. But shut it down, and your brother in the background might be feeding him 6 children with it. I mean, when you shut it down, your brother who working an honest dollar would know where you are getting to money. His 6 children. That's the way you have to think. What you have to tell the government is that this country belongs to all of us. All of us. When the government came into, well, let me go into that this morning.
All right. Well, we have another call here. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning. I think people are missing the point. All the time the copper theft going on, this gentleman wasn't doing anything. The reason for the 6 months, I think, is to see where the copper is going.
You have a clue. You have a clue about that. You're making bad statement, and I can't let you continue.
Hold on, Mr.
What you say
Ferguson.
that-
Let her finish and then he'll come in. Go ahead.
On top of that, they start damage the government property, taking pipe, the washer thing. Then they went with the bell. Give it this between the 6 months, they will figure out where the copper is going, or if it was going where else. Give it a chance. Everybody comparing it with some wagon and this and that, and to shut down this. They're going too far now, man. Give it between the 6 months, the man might figure out something else. All these threats and call for.
All right, Ms. Sampson.
If you're working in KFC, I want the government to shut down KFC for a month and see if you will be able to survive, because the government can't straighten out the problem. Let me explain something to you. I champion in this cause. You could go to history and see that in 2012, 2013, when they had people stealing copper, I would have sit down with the management of TSCT and work with them to stop the problem, and we did stop it. And when I know this problem, I went and have a meeting with the management at TSCT, and I told them we will have this problem if they don't stop. And I told the government too, if we don't put some kind of thing in place to even stop something, stop it. They will start a thief underground. Because we have a habit in Trinidad to follow what's taking place out of Trinidad. And out of Trinidad in South Africa and all of them places, the thief going with machine gun to steal things. And I telling the government, if you do not put nothing in place, it will have a problem. How you want me now to accept this 6 months when when Petrotrin closed down, the plant is supposed to come back up and come back up yet, you know. Let me tell you something, the steel mill, when we had here, was to come back up. That ain't reached nowhere yet. We don't have a steel mill here, and we had a steel mill. The government didn't own a steel mill, and it's gone. And that was up till now, it can't make back up. When this industry faced that, you know what I'm telling you? You're talking about 6 months, that could go to 10 years.
Yeah.
Because you know governments don't live up to the words. Most of the time, they don't live up to the word. And I have to take that. Man, let me tell you something, Trinidad and Tobago. Listen carefully. Take a good look at what we're saying.
All right. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
You know, on the matter of the scrap iron dealers and issues related, they could have just, when they see that it was clear that cables were being cut everywhere, this guy Ferguson, he could have simply asked his members to stop buying cables. And that would have been the end of that. Stop buying cables.
There was this program from the starting. Oh God, I forgot your area that I know you have your name. It was this program.
Yeah.
I just told you all just now that before it start in this way, I approached all the organization, you know, all the necessary stakeholders, you know. I approved it.
If you approach them and they rejected your good advice, then this is the price that they have to pay. Even if you
not me, hello, not the scrap dealers, because I told you that the people who coming off the streets and stealing that have nothing to do with scrap dealers. It don't have nothing.
What are they doing with it? Where is it going?
And if you was listening to this program for the starting, I just explained to Steve Khan and them. I told them is that people now coming off the streets.
All right, Mr. Pina, let's ask you a question. I want to grab in a couple of calls before 8.
Let me just ask the question. When they steal the cables, don't it end up with the scrap dealers? Whether it's other metals or just iron or whatever, it ends up with somebody who then takes it to somebody who exports it. So if people don't buy it, they're not going to cut it. You all were buying it. Thank you.
Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I know. And there's the marine scrap 19-something policy paper that I think they're telling. I think when I just glancing through it, I think you can't even load a container with the presence of you have to have a custom officer and a police officer present, and there are certain, the idea of you have to have a license. And so when I read through the marine scrap, I can't remember the full name of it, there are these regulations that have been existing there. Yes, you have to improve it, and I agree, but this idea that I can't container cannot be loaded without the presence of a custom officer or police officer. Mr. Ferguson could either correct me or wrong, but I think a container can't leave Trinidad without this being loaded. Am I right or wrong within the policy? As my question.
That is recommendation in the policy. But you have to remember the policy, that is just recommendation. It didn't go to the parliament to approve. And that is what we say. All these things is in the proposal for the industry to regularize. And it's in nothing has been done. So let me tell you something. Since 1904, the only time we had an amendment to this act is 2014, when the government at that time went to the parliament and amend the act to change, to make it from the magistrate, for the magistrate to give us the license, to the licenses committee. That is when it went to parliament. Other than that, nothing in change. Trinidad and Tobago, and don't try to tell me that I did not make a recommendation to tell people stay away. As it is now, we ain't sure if it's one of the scrapyards selling out copper, you know. We ain't sure because they're not scanning certain things in the port. They're not doing it. So
right,
if I could send out a box, a container orange, and it's a copper in it, you know.
Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning. Mr. Ferguson, you just said you could send out a box of orange and then have copper in it because they're not checking it, right? Not checking so it wasn't the container when you're exporting it. But I recall maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a news report that said that your yard, essentially, West Indian Salvage and Recycling, had been found with TSCT cables. And you said then that you basically you won a bid to remove the cables, right? And then on the program,
I never did a bid to remove no cable.
Okay,
that was false. That was false news report. If you want me to correct it before you finish your statement, I could do it.
Okay,
I had win a bid. That was about last year. It had a bid, and I had win a bid to remove the cable, the old cables that they have in the Mokoya area and the Tobago area. I didn't get no win no bid to move no cable from up on the post and them. So it's totally wrong that a reporter was trying to fabricate and make it look like I win some bid to move cable. That is wrong.
Right. So the question is now, but you also said in the program this morning that you don't have a license to export copper. So what did you do with those copper cables?
That is why I tell you that Trinidad, you have a lot of people who understand this industry. Let me tell you something.
All right. Yeah, you have another question, caller, before I hang up with you?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Ferguson, go ahead.
Yeah. It have about, let me say it have 100 or 200 yards in Trinidad. You will find it only have about 15 to 20 yards export out of Trinidad. The other yards feed the other yards with that material. Now I just export scrap iron, right? I does not export copper, but that don't mean to say I even buy copper and sell it to people who just do the export. So when you feel like I buy copper, that don't mean because I have copper, I exporting copper out of Trinidad. Not because I win a bid with copper and I doesn't export batteries. I doesn't export aluminum, but that don't mean to say I can't buy aluminum and sell it over right in Trinidad. Okay? So we need to understand these things about the industry. The industry is I feed you, you feed me. That's how it works. It don't work like, because we have about a lot of items that we just purchase every single day. You could purchase battery, you could buy aluminum, brass, copper, you could buy steel, you could buy brass, and all these things. But how much thing I export out of Trinidad? It might be one or two. But what I does, as anybody else in this industry, we sell it to other people who do other things that we does not export. Because if you understand this in this industry, you will be making them statements.
All right. Allan, we have reached our limit. Anything closing, any 30 seconds?
Okay, I'll try. Trinidad and Tobago, I want you to understand. You might have a brother, you might have a family, a sister that in this industry is the only industry remain in Trinidad. You couldn't hear it, you couldn't believe it. The only industry that this poor people and people who who might make a mistake and do a crime, and because of that they record nasty and they weren't able to go nowhere else on their work. We just hire them and try to train and try to show them that life could be different if you take a different road. We and my yard and other yards, we just feed people every day who poor and can't do nothing, just come and get food. Guys, they want to shut down for 6
Recording
months.
stopped.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Ferguson, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so much,
being on
Mr.
Public Discussion.
Ferguson.
Yes, man.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you
appreciate you
all.
taking the time to speak with us.